So we're starting with Willson Contreras. Where do you think he ends up?
So Willson Contreras for me is a guy. I actually talked about him a little bit last week. We did two predictions last week. Willson Contreras was one of my guys. I have a little bit of an under the radar spot that I think he's going to end up. The Detroit Tigers. They need a catcher. They have a very young, inexperienced, but very talented pitching staff. Just having a guy behind the dish that is a true vet and a guy that, oh, by the way, he rakes and they desperately need offense. I think that'd be a good fit for the Tigers. And I go back to 2005 when the Tigers were the year before they were the worst team in baseball and one of the worst teams in history. And what was that first free agency move that they went out and did and changed the course of the entire organization? A catcher, Ivan Rodriguez. They went and got that done. Things started turning around. You have the new guy in town, Scott Harris, running things in Detroit. I think he makes a splash this offseason. He said he wants to. He said he's going to. I just think Willson Contreras would be a good fit for them.
How many years out are the Tigers from being a contending team again, though? So if he goes to a team where you're in a rebuild, he is a superstar. He could be that missing piece, but is that someplace that he would want to go?
That's a great question, and I think, look, one, the guy wants to win, right? So he's going to need to see a commitment to winning. So if he's going to be the only pickup, he ain't going to do it. No. There's got to be a lot more involved there. Yeah. But your question of how many years are we away? Last year, right? Last year, I was very high on the future of the Tigers and the future of the Mariners. When both teams weren't very good at the beginning of the year, I said, I believe in these two teams. I believe the Tigers will be 2024 World Series champs and the Mariners will be 2025 World Series champs. If anything, I'm going to switch that because I have to. It's my only chance. The Tigers really let me down this year. Really disappointing year. Javi Baez, the big signing at shortstop, was bad, for lack of a better term. Unacceptably bad for a guy you've paid to be your shortstop of the future. So I don't think the Tigers are as close as I would like them to be, but the writing is on the wall to be good with a very, very young and very talented pitching staff. Build around that. You're good to go. Next thing you know, you sign a big free agent after one good year, and you could turn it all around. So I'm going to say they're still a couple of years away, and that's being generous, I would say at this point.
But that's a good point. They have a lot of good young arms, so you need a veteran guy behind the plate to help them all out. So not mad at your pick, but I think there's a couple moving parts that need to happen for it to work.
Are there going to be picks that you're mad at?
A couple.
Oh, boy.
Okay. Ready? You ready for a second one?
Yes.
Okay. Kodai Senga, superstar arm from Japan. Where does he sign?
I have Koudai Senga going to the Yankees.
Ooh.
Okay. Now, Kodai, for those that aren't super familiar with him, which I assume is the strong majority of people, he is going to be posted coming over from Japan, most likely. And this guy's a stud. He throws 103, throws 100. Obviously, velocity is there. Really good stuff. So he's a prize prospect.
Yeah.
Coming over from Japan. And when you step back and look at these signings, there's been a few high-profile signings. Not a few. There's been about a dozen that come to the top of my head in the last decade of guys coming over from Japan, right? And there's only a few teams that have really shown a willingness to dabble in that and to sign them initially, right? And we've seen it from the Yankees multiple times.
Yep.
We've seen it from the
Mariners.
They were the top.
They were like the top two from Angels getting Ohtani.
Yeah. The Mariners are one of those teams. Certainly the Yankees. The Angels are now one of those teams. The Cubs signing Suzuki. So, I think the Yankees know that they need to make a splash.
Yeah.
And I think there's a good chance.
So I think it is going to be one of the big teams, one of the big brands who have the money. I think the Dodgers are going to make a play for him.
Oh, you do?
I do, because they need pitching. They have the money, and they are a couple arms shy of getting back to that World Series position of winning. That was the weakness going into the postseason. Obviously, the whole play was not great once they got in, but I think they make a big play.
The Dodgers have a glaring weakness, I would say, and it's the pitching. And that would be a good fit. Look, speaking of the Dodgers, I'm sure we'll talk about them a good bit more throughout here at some point, but they have a lot of money that has come off the books. Yeah. So they're going to make a big splash. It's just a matter of where and when and who.
And how many.
Where, when, and who. I guess those are all accurate.
That could work.
More when and who, I would say, than where. But okay. You get
Well, where? On the mound, shortstop, where are they going to do it?
Yeah, right? But who kind of answers that? But yeah, great point. Where, when, and who.
Work.
Where, when, and who.
They all work.
Yeah.
All right, from one arm to another. Carlos Rodon, where do you think he is ending up?
Rodon is kind of an underrated free agent here because of the likes of Jacob deGrom being a free agent, Justin being a free agent. There's some massive names, but
he's also only been really healthy for 2 seasons, so it's you have the injury side of it too that you have to factor in.
So you look back at those last 2 seasons though, and this guy is a true ace, like a bona fide ace of a staff kind of guy. And he showed it in Chicago, and he went out for 1 year to the Giants, and he showed it there. He was great. I think that Carlos Rodon is going to the Mets.
Ooh.
Chris Bassett, gone.
Yep.
Theoretically, he's a free agent.
Yep.
He could theoretically sign back, but I think Rodon and the Mets would be a good fit. They need look that pitching staff. DeGrom's not even a certainty right now. They have Scherzer. Let's look back at last year. Scherzer, DeGrom. If you could add a Carlos Rodon to that mix, because Bassett wasn't great in the playoffs, and it feels like in the playoffs,
none of their arms were great in the playoffs.
Good point. Stuff wins. And I was watching Chris Bassett in the playoffs, and look, his stuff isn't along the lines of DeGrom and Scherzer. Rodon's is, and he's a lefty. Mm-hmm. He brings an ace of the staff kind of guy, and Uncle Steve is going to open up those pocketbooks early and often. And I think Rodon has a good chance of going to the Mets.
I like that, but I could see him also ending up with the Yankees. So I could see him ending up in New York. He has that New York grit to him, kind of that vibe, his style. I like him in New York, whether Mets or Yankees. I think one of them go after him.
Okay. Quick question before we move on. Are you mad at me for any of these yet?
Not yet.
Okay, not yet.
Not yet. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Now we got a lot of shortstops here in free agency. Dansby Swanson, where does he end up?
I think he stays.
Okay.
I think he stays in Atlanta. Look, Dansby's in Atlanta. He's a Georgia guy.
Yeah.
We saw it last year with Freddie Freeman.
Yeah.
And Freddie was an Atlanta Brave, and he needed to be an Atlanta Brave for life. And the organization made a decision to let him go. And I don't think that went over great with the fan base.
No.
And Freddie.
No. We know that.
I think the Braves need to get this right. Dansby is a hometown guy playing there for his hometown team, and he wants to be there. And look, we have to go off of what we have seen from Dansby this past year and a lot of the year prior. And he has shown to be one of the better shortstops in the game of baseball. Yeah. He wasn't that before last year. He was a guy that plays good defense and not the best hitter in the world. Dansby's turned it around, and you got to pay him as such. And if I'm the Atlanta Braves, you got to pay your guy. You can't let two guys that the fan base views as Braves. You know,
what kind of contract does he get if the Braves keep him?
I think you got to sign him to. I think you got to sign him for 5-6 years.
Okay.
I think you got to. And I would if I'm the Braves. He's been great. He wants to be there. Keep your guy. Go get your guy. Don't mess up again.
See, Braves fans probably are not going to like this take, but if he does not stay in Atlanta, I see him being a top prospect for the Dodgers if they can't keep Trey Turner. So Yeah.
So
I don't think I think that would infuriate the fan base, but it's also a good fit.
I am starting to just think that you are picking either the Dodgers or Yankees for
They got the money. I'm not picking them for everybody. Don't worry. But they got deep pockets.
They do.
Historically deep pockets. That's how you get players that you want. You outbid.
Imagine if Dansby goes to the Dodgers.
That's what I'm saying.
2 years in a row, they lose their guy to the Dodgers. I don't think it happens. Dansby's staying in Atlanta. That's my prediction.
All right. Well, let's move on. Xander Bogaerts. Where does he end up?
I think he stays as well.
Okay.
I think he stays with the Red Sox. The Red Sox owe some happiness to their fans. They really do. I mean, they have messed up over the last 5 years.
Yeah.
They messed up with Mookie.
Ooh, the biggest one.
And they can't mess up with Xander and with Devers. You got to get it right. And these two play hand in hand. It's not Devers' year to get paid yet, but I truly believe Devers is sitting back watching how the Red Sox are handling Xander Bogaerts, who they claim like is their guy and they want him there. Then treat him like that. I'm tired of these organizations expecting guys to take hometown discounts because they want to be there, right? Like, okay, let's say I've played 10 years of let's say I'm a future Hall of Famer and I'm a 6-time All-Star in 10 years and I've been playing my entire year for the Chicago Cubs and it's time for me to be a free agent and I say, I want to be a Cub for life. That's where I want to be. That doesn't mean that you can pay me less. And I'm tired of these organizations and these owners thinking, well, if you want to be here, you should take a hometown discount for us. No, if you want your guy, pay him as such. Players have a short window to get paid. And I'm tired of these organizations like shortchanging them, thinking they should take a better deal. And the Red Sox did it with Mookie Betts. And I forget exactly what the numbers were, but it was like, all right, we can only offer you $200 million. And he said no. And then these other offers come along from the Dodgers that are above and beyond. And then the Red Sox are like, okay, $300 million. It's like, what? But get your guy while you have him and he wants to be there, and show a willingness to sign him and show an appreciation when you have him in your corner, not before you've pissed him off and make him truly look elsewhere. And I just think I'm just tired of the hometown discount thing. And I think the Red Sox get it done because it's really important for both him and Devers. I mean, that's a great left side of the infield. Get it done. Xander Bogaerts, Rafi Devers, but Bogaerts stays with the Red Sox. I think they finally wake up.